Good morning, good morning, good morning, morning, my friends. It is so nice to see you. Thank you for turning into the Little Focus live stream. This is the second week of the Little Focus live stream. And I'm so excited you're here this morning. If this is your first time watching the Little Focus live stream, we will be here every single day this week. This is the week of Thanksgiving. And so on Monday and Tuesday, we're going to do a really nice story called Arnie the Armadillo Goes to Antarctica. Hello, good morning to people. I see some people saying good morning in the chat. And then later this week on Wednesday, on Thursday, and Friday, we will be doing some Thanksgiving poems, some Thanksgiving activities, and I'm really looking forward to that because we have to get a little bit smarter every single day. This is a wonderful sample lesson that you can use if you are learning from this. Maybe you are a teacher, maybe you're a kid, maybe you are homeschooling, and you want to have better literacy lessons or get a little bit smarter while you're watching. This is for you. And if you don't watch live in the morning, you can always catch the replays. I put these in a playlist on my channel, or you can just go to the live stream tab and find them there. My name is Miss Natalie. I see we've got a couple friends watching with us this morning. Hello. And if you're watching the replay later, I'm so glad that you made it. While you're here this morning, take a second and engage with this. That is one of the best compliments that you can give to a channel is liking it. Hit the share button and copy the link from there. Comment. These are things that make a really big deal. Send some hearts in the live chat or 100 or whatever emoji that you want to send. Little things like that send ripples out into YouTube and help other families learn from this as well. And one more thing, if you want to make a big difference, we are fundraising right now too for the Carolina Migrant Network. This provides legal services for folks that need support with their immigration. As you can probably imagine, it's incredibly expensive. So they provide free legal services to all of their clients. And we're continuing to fundraise for a neighborhood association here in Charlotte, North Carolina, that's supporting its neighbors that have been impacted with rent support and with groceries, supplies, things like that. We've raised $525. I would love to see if we can get to $600 today. I think that'd be really cool. And on Friday, I have not given to the Carolina Migrant Network, but I went ahead and split that money in half and gave to the neighborhood association. Since, if you need groceries now, you need groceries now. So we'll continue to fundraise. Half of the money has been given to the neighborhood association. And then at the end of this week, I'll do my round for the Carolina Migrant Network and the rest to the neighborhood association. Friends, we got to get started with our learning though. That is what we're really here for. We are really here to get smarter and have some good learning this morning. You're not going to need a paper and pencil today. If you want to have one, we're going to learn how to write a letter, but we won't spend too much time on it because our story is kind of long. So if you want to get a paper and pencil, you can, or just know afterward, I would love for you to practice writing our letter of the day. What you're really going to need, it's been a long weekend. Some of you haven't used your brain since Friday. I need you to reach behind your ears. And I need you to turn on your brain this morning. But this is Little Focus live stream. You're not just turning it on. I need you to reach that knob and turn it all the way up. I see some more people saying hello in the chat. Good morning. And if you are able to hear, I want you to take your ears and tug on them. And something I want to mention here, I have auto captions turned on in English, and in the replay, they're able to translate to Spanish. So if you want to watch this again with Spanish translation, catch it in the replay, and then you can get English during the live stream. It just takes a minute for everything to be able to translate into Spanish. So if you can hear, get those ears on, give them a little tap. Oh yeah, I hear the little sound. And if you can see, get those eyes, look around, make sure that they're working this morning. Oh yes, I love to see it. And let's talk about our letters, friends. We've got a new letter of the day today, but before we do the new one, we've got to look at our letters from last week that we did. Let's come on up to our whiteboard here. Last week, we had 5 letters of the day. We had G, B, T, C, and L. Now, if you are learning your letters right now, some people think that the name of the letter is the most important part. It's not. It's the sound that it makes. And so I, of course, call these letters by their names, but their sound is what I prefer to refer to them more to, because that's when you're actually getting the work done. So last week we learned about our nice letter G. And friends, what does letter G say? Get your big glass of water and take your gulps. G, 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 g. That's letter G. We also had the letter B as one of our letters of the day last week. And what is letter B? It is the bunny word. We're going to get our bunny ears. B, b, b. Try that. B, b, b. Very good, cutie pies. We're going to keep it moving. Last week we also had letter T as one of our letters of the day. T is our tall letter. So we stand up nice and tall. We get our arms out like lowercase t. T, t, t. Try that. T, t, t. Good job, cuties. And it's so nice to use these signs because it helps kids remember what they're doing. Then we had, after letter T, our cat letter, letter C. When I think of the letter C, I think about a cat, and I get my whiskers out and I do this. And I pretend that I've got my whiskers. Let me see you do it, smarty. I have 2 little kitty cats at home. I love my little cats. All right, and last letter from last week was letter L. And for L, I make my body look like the letter L, nice and tall. And I make it sound L, L, L. Now, some people think L is the singing letter, la, 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 la. But when we make the sound when we are reading, we're just isolating the sound L. So my tongue goes to the back of my teeth, L, like that. Try it. L, L, L. I know, let me see. L, L. Very good, cutie pie. So those were our letters last week, and we've got a letter that we're going to focus on today and tomorrow, and our book is all about it too. This is the first vowel that we've had for our letter of the day, and I'm going to give you one hint because I bet you already know it. Hold on. Pardon me, friends. I'm going to give you one hint. The word apple starts with it. Let's say the word apple. Apple. And let's stretch it out. Pretend like you have a big rubber band around your hand. It's keeping it together. I want you to stretch. Apple. Apple. One more time. Apple. Apple. Okay. What is the first sound that you hear in apple? If you're saying apple, that is the first sound. Very good, my friends. Give yourself a kiss on the brain. And there's our letter of the day. And it's going to be our letter of the day tomorrow. Apple. And now that we have a vowel, we can start to do some spelling. So tomorrow we're going to do some advanced phonics work using the letters that we focused on. Let's talk about uppercase A. When you see uppercase A, it's almost like a triangle. I start with my big triangle like that, but I don't close it on the bottom. I do it across the middle. Lowercase a looks completely different, and it's a circle letter. So I'm going to start with my circle and pull down and have a tail. Now, this is the part that later when you do your smart work, you're going to come back and you're going to practice handwriting with letter A. We don't have time to sit and do a lot of handwriting with letter A because we're going to read our whole story today. But if you want to come back and do handwriting, I think you should. I'm going to show you here. When I make capital A, and on my handwriting paper, we've got our headline up at the top, our belt line, and our foot line, okay? So usually on a handwriting table, you see a handwriting paper, you see the top, the dotted line in the middle, and the bottom. I call that the headline, the belt line, and the foot line because I'm imagining there's a person there. His head touches the top. You come down, his pants hit right at the belt line. And then you draw his little feet which come down to the foot line. I know it's a very small, beautiful picture of a man, but that's why I call it the headline, the belt line, and the foot line. So our capital A, you're going to start at the foot line and you're going to go up to the top, bounce down at an angle to the bottom, and right at the belt line, you're going to come across, okay? You're going to start at the bottom of the foot line, you're going to come up to the headline, angle down to the foot line, lift your pencil, and come across at that belt line. And that's capital letter A. It seems a little tricky at first because you have to figure out that angle, but once you know how to do it, you'll be making capital A, no problem. Lowercase a, cuties, this is a circle letter. At a circle letter, I always start at the belt line, and I go backwards when I make my circle letter. Down to the foot line, come up at the top, and then I pull down to make the tail for lowercase a, okay? So I'm gonna go up at the belt line, circle, close, pull down to make that tail, okay? With that A tail, some kids put a nice little curve on it, and some kids just do it a little bit more straight. It's up to you, but it should always be connected. You never lift up your pencil when you're making lowercase a. It's the whole circle, close, and pull, okay? What we don't want with lowercase a, a lot of kids, they get lazy and they do a circle and then they do a line on it. And let me tell you, when you're writing fast and you're doing a circle and a line, it starts to look totally separate. Like, what is that? That's a 0 and a 1. That is not lowercase a, friends. You never lift your pencil when you make lowercase a. It's a circle and then pull, and that's your tail. Got it, cuties? I want you to come back later for your handwriting practice, but we're going to keep it moving today. And if you're going to practice that letter A, why don't you put a letter A in the chat so that we know that you did it? I'm going to put our donation link in the chat, and I'm going to do a capital A and a lower A because I could always use a little bit of handwriting practice. And I'm going to give a good look at my A's here on this camera before we move on to our story. Okay, let's move on to our story, friends. We are doing a new story, and I want to give a big thank you to our author. One of the issues with reading on YouTube is you have to be really thinking hard about copyright, right? You can't just come on and read a story. Well, you could, but you run the risk of your channel getting in trouble. And if my channel got in trouble, that would mean there's no more Little Focus live stream. So I reached out to, I put on my Instagram story this weekend saying, I need a story. I need a really good story for the kids. And Eden Estabrook, she is an author, said, I want you to read Arnie the Armadillo to the kids. And so she shared this book with us, and it's going to be our focus for today and tomorrow. She has 2 versions of this book. It's a series, and I think she might even come out with more. Arnie the Armadillo Goes to Antarctica is the one that we're doing today. Now, before we get into this, there are some words that you're going to need to know if you're going to understand this book. So let me go ahead and get my slideshow going here. There's a couple of words you're going to need to know. First off, our title is Arnie the Armadillo. Armadillo. An armadillo is a clawed mammal with a body covered with bony plates. So on the left here, you can see our cartoon picture. This is Arnie, who we're going to be learning with this week. And this is a real life armadillo. My friends, armadillos do live in North Carolina. So if you're turning in from North Carolina, you might be able to see them. Oh, I see some friends in the chat doing their letter A's. Thank you. And they live all over the United States, in the Southwest, in California, Arizona, Arkansas. They live all over. So keep an eye out. They're usually up at nighttime, though. So a lot of times we don't get to see an armadillo because they're nocturnal or they stay up at night. But that's what they look like. The next word you're going to hear is Antarctica. Antarctica, friends, is our continent that's at the bottom of the world. It is quite far. If you're tuning in from the United States, we live here in North America. This is South America, Europe, Asia, Africa, Australia, and Oceania. Antarctica's all the way down here at the bottom, so very far from the other continents. It is cold there. They don't get a lot of sun. They don't get a lot of heat. And so there's mostly ice There is nobody that lives in Antarctica year round, okay? The only people who live down there are scientists, and they don't even stay there all the time. It's very chilly there, and it's absolutely a place where you need to bring your coat. The next one is aerobics. Friends, aerobics is exercises that make your heart, lungs, and muscles stronger, increase oxygen to the blood. Friends, if you're doing jumping around, if you're doing dancing, things like that, and if you go to gym class or PE, that's going to be a lot of that is aerobics. It's a way to work out. The next word we're going to hear is alligator. Alligator is a reptile covered in scales that can swim and walk on land, okay? Now, I will tell you, we do have alligators in North Carolina. And if you live in a place like Florida, South Carolina, Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, you might have a little alligator in your neighborhood. But usually you have to live kind of close to the ocean for that to happen, or close to the marsh, or close to the creek, okay? But alligators are these big animals, and I'll tell you what, Miss Natalie does not mess with an alligator. If I see an alligator, I say, see you later, alligator. And the last word you're going to need to know is automobile. Friends, automobile is a fancy word for car. So if you want to sound a little fancier, you want to sound a little smarter today, try to say automobile instead of car. Can you say that? Try it. Automobile. That's right. That's my challenge to you. If you have to get in the car later, say, we're getting in the automobile, and try to sound a little fancier. All right, cuties, that's the vocabulary. I want you to keep an eye out for those words when we read our story. And let's go ahead and read about our buddy, Arnie the Armadillo Goes to Antarctica. Special thank you to our author who wrote the words and who wrote the words to this story, Eden Estabrook, and of course to our illustrator who drew the pictures, Preston Anderson. Arnie the Armadillo Goes to Antarctica. Okay, friends. And I'm gonna move my picture, oopsie, back to the middle here. Meet Arnie. Arnie is an armadillo. Oops, ding dong. I'm trying to move my thing. Arnie is an armadillo who lives in Arizona. Arnie woke up one August morning aching for adventure. Friends, I didn't even teach you the sign for letter A. It's like you're biting an apple. Try. Like you're going to bite an apple. And so if you hear words that begin with A during this story, you can show me with your sign, So let's try that again. Arnie woke up one August morning aching for adventure. What to do, Arnie asked. Aerobics? An aquarium? Art? Look at all these A words, friends. So make sure that you are biting your apple and saying when you hear those words. Aha! Acting quickly, Arnie raced to the airport. Ascending in an airplane, he eagerly anticipated his adventure. Everyone say adventure. Adventure. That begins with our sound. Somebody is saying they love these illustrations. I totally agree. After landing, Arnie assisted an elderly anteater with his luggage. At last, Arnie arrived. Antarctica! Everyone say Antarctica! And his friend Albert, the Arctic alpaca, who was waiting for him wearing an Argyle sweater. Arnie and Albert's adventure begins. I love to see you guys with your apple. So many A words. After some time, they stopped to applaud an alligator doing acrobatics. Then they admired a distant avalanche. So many A words, friends. They attempted apple picking. Say apple. Good. Take that big bite. And they ate anchovies. Oh, friends, anchovies is like a fish that comes in a can. That is not for Miss Natalie, but some friends love anchovies. Have you ever tried anchovies before? Look at Arnie eating them. After they ate, they sat outside, drank apricot juice and admired the night sky. All of a sudden, Arnie realized he forgot his coat in Arizona. Everyone's like, whoa, oh, you can't go to Antarctica without a coat, friends. Albert addressed the icy problem and gave Arnie his coat. Albert's wool alone was enough to keep him warm. Oh, what a nice friend. He shared his coat with him. As the sun rose, a new adventure awaited them. The end, friend. And look at this. Here's all of the A things that we saw in our story. I love these books. If you have a kiddo that you're trying to teach them vocabulary, this is amazing. She has a book that's all about the letter B, where Arnie goes to Brazil. She's so clever with these with the vocabulary. And it's also great. Like, we're going to be studying letter A today and tomorrow. Amazing. So let's look at some of our words that begin with the letter A. What sound does A make, friends? Ah, ah, ah. Very good. We have an A-frame house. Say aardvark. Say acrobatics. That's like doing flips and stuff. Say aerobics. And hopefully you're jumping around this week doing some aerobics to get your body moving. Say air traffic control. Those are the people who tell the planes when it's safe to take off and safe to land. Oh, goodness. Look at all these words. Alarm clock. Albacore. That's a type of tuna. Alligator. Aloe. Ambrosia. Apple. Anchovies, angelfish, anteater. She squeezed all these A words in. Apricot, aquarium, Arctic fox, Arctic seal. Okay, friends, and we can keep going. Argyle, Arizona, Arizona flag, Arizona hedgehog cactus, armadillo, armoire, astronomy, Atlantic puffin, August, aurora, automobile, avalanche, aviator hat, avocado, award, axolotl, and azaleas, which are a beautiful flower that blooms in the spring. So many A words. Look at Arnie over here, friends. So many A words, and I want you to be on the hunt this week to find more words that begin with letter A. I thought of a couple names that I know that begin with the sound, letter A. I know the name Alicia or Alicia. Does anyone know somebody with that name? I have a couple friends with that name. Alonzo, Alejandro or Alejandra, and Angelica or Angelica. These are all names that start with the letter A sound. So your work today, I want you to take some time and I want you to get out your pencil and your paper. If you've got a little bit of writing paper, which is very easy to print offline, or I just used a ruler to make my writing paper, or on the whiteboard I used a ruler to make that. Very easy to make. I want you to practice making your letter A, lowercase and uppercase. And if you do make it, you can always let me know in the comments. We did our practice. Let me know. Comment with a lot of letter A's. You can always send me a picture. You can email me, Natalie at primaryfocus.tv. Natalie at primaryfocus.tv. You can send me a DM on Instagram. Or you can go hang it up on the fridge and show the people in your family that you got a little bit smarter today, friends, okay? Keep in mind, we are doing some fundraising. I would love to see us get to $600 today to share with the Carolina Migrant Network and share with this neighborhood association that I'm supporting to help these residents out that haven't been able to work because they've been hiding out at home. They really need your support. There are a lot of special kids watching right now. and you are one of them. So I hope you come back tomorrow. We are going to do some more activities with Arnie the Armadillo Goes to Antarctica. Now that we've read this story, we can dive in a little bit more tomorrow. And then the rest of this week, we've got special Thanksgiving activities on Wednesday, on Thursday, and Friday. I know a lot of us, if you're living in the United States, are getting ready for Thanksgiving, which means you've got a busy kitchen. And wouldn't it be nice if your little one was a little focused during that time so you can be near that hot, dangerous oven preparing? Okay, cutie pies, like I said, there's a lot of friends watching, a lot of special kids, and you are one of them. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I'll see you tomorrow. See you next time.